You may find yourself alone in the quiet hours, wondering why the voices you once loved have grown faint. Imagine Mrs. Chen, 78, sitting at her kitchen table with an unanswered phone, or Mr. Thompson, 82, hearing no knock at the door even though he spent the morning waiting. The pain of hearing no reply to a hello can hurt more than the pain of silence itself. It's okay to feel hurt and confused. This experience is surprisingly common, yet so private and painful that many elders suffer in isolation. You are not to blame for feeling sad or disappointed. Human hearts cherish connection at every age. What do you do when your grown children no longer respect you? It's a quiet kind of pain, the kind that doesn't show up in X-rays but sits heavy in the heart. You raised them, you held them through their first fears, their first failures, their first steps into the world. But now you feel like a ghost in their lives. They don't listen, they talk over you, they roll their eyes, cancel visits, and when they do come around, you're more decoration than presence. But here's the truth. This is not how your story ends. This is not the final chapter. And today, I'll walk with you through 8 powerful sections that will help you reclaim not just your children's respect, but your own self-worth, dignity, and voice. This journey won't involve yelling, guilt trips, or ultimatums, just truth, wisdom, and quiet power. The generation gap. Why they seem so different. You've lived through changing eras, horse-drawn carriages, telephones on the wall, computers. So much has changed in your lifetime. Now your children and grandchildren have grown up in a different world of smartphones, social media, and fast-paced living. Mr. Alvarez remembers telling his daughter bedtime stories with hand-drawn pictures. Now she prefers TikTok videos. These cultural and technological shifts can create invisible walls. Often, your children aren't trying to hurt you. They simply think and act differently. Sometimes your kind words or worries don't translate in their busy lives. Understanding this gap can bring a measure of compassion for them and for yourself. Even if their world is foreign, it doesn't erase your value or the bond you share. The gift of forgiveness, lightening the heart. Consider the story of Harold, who had once been an attentive father. When his son snapped at him over an overdue phone bill, Harold felt a sting in his heart. For days he replayed the hurtful words. Then one evening he remembered his childhood, how his son once needed him by the bedside during a nightmare. In that quiet reflection, Harold decided to forgive the outburst. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior or saying it doesn't matter. It is a gift you give to yourself, a quiet release of anger and hurt. Researchers note that letting go of resentment can actually improve health and help people age more positively. It frees you from carrying a heavy burden. By forgiving, you reclaim peace and your own dignity rather than seeking justice. It might be as simple as whispering to yourself, "I release this pain," and taking a breath. This gentle act of forgiveness can unshackle you from bitterness and make room for calm. Healing the hurt, caring for your emotions. The wound of feeling disrespected or forgotten can feel as real as any physical pain. Maria felt it deeply when her daughter stopped including her in family photos. She grieved quietly each day. It's okay to grieve. You might feel a mix of sadness, anger, or disbelief. It can help to talk about your feelings with a friend, a grandchild, or a counselor. Many people find comfort in writing letters you may never send, or keeping a journal of your thoughts. Remember that loneliness and emotional pain are powerful. The National Institute on Aging warns that social isolation in seniors is linked to higher risk of depression and anxiety. Seeking help or simply sharing your heart can break that isolation. Small steps like going for a walk, listening to music you love, or joining a gentle exercise class can lift your mood. Engaging in activities with others, even a book club or a church group, tends to boost mood and help people live longer. In other words, seeking connection can be a balm to your spirit. You deserve care and compassion from friends, family, and yourself. Treat your own heart tenderly as you would a dear friend. Rekindling purpose, your next chapter. Retirement isn't a closing of the book, but turning the page to a new chapter. Take the example of George, who retired from carpentry and suddenly had empty days. Feeling aimless, he began volunteering at a community garden and teaching woodworking to teens. He found that having goals, even modest ones like planting a flower or building a bench, gave him joy again. In fact, research shows that older adults who feel their life has meaning and purpose tend to be healthier and live longer. In one long-term study, seniors with high life purpose had a much lower risk of death than those who felt aimless. You might discover purpose in hobbies, faith, mentoring, or simply caring for others. Perhaps you'll finally take that art class, join a walking group, or help at the local library. These pursuits remind us that we still have talents and wisdom to share. By setting gentle goals for your health, your hobbies, or your community, you fuel your spirit and honor the years ahead. Your life story still has many pages to fill with kindness, creativity, and meaning. Letting go of expectations, finding peace. Sometimes the pain is sharpened by what we hoped for: daily phone calls, regular visits, or simple respect. Imagine Grace, who dreamed of cozy Sundays with her family. As years passed, she realized her expectations were causing her endless worry. One day, a wise friend reminded her, "You can't control other people." This simple truth is powerful. As one parent on a support blog wisely noted, "We do not mold our children like clay. When they don't turn out the way we planned, we neglect this fundamental truth." In other words, your children may have plans and pressures you cannot foresee. Holding tightly to how you think things should be only leads to frustration. Letting go means accepting that your children, like all of us, make choices, live imperfectly, and sometimes forget. This isn't their fault or yours, it's part of life. In practice, letting go might mean releasing anger like a balloon, or quietly repeating, "I wish them well." Perhaps you'll shift from "why won't they call" to "I will cherish the calls when they do come." Remember, your peace of mind does not have to ride on anyone's actions but your own. As the same wise voice said, relying on others for your happiness can lead to disappointment. Instead, focus on filling your own life with activities and joy, and let affection from your children be a lovely bonus, not a requirement. Honoring yourself. Rediscovering self-worth. Being a parent has been a central part of your identity for decades. It's natural that when the role shifts, you may question your place or feel lonely. However, your worth is not lost when your children grow up. Think of Nellie, who learned to say to herself each morning, "I am more than a parent. I am a person of value." She reminded herself of her kindness, her career achievements, her love for knitting intricate quilts that warmed neighbors' hearts. You have a lifetime of wisdom, kindness, humor, and resilience that no one can take away. Your identity includes being a friend, a volunteer, a traveler, a cook, or an artist, anything you have loved or can love. Some elders find it helpful to list things they are proud of, from raising children to rising through hardships. Nothing, not even a child's forgetfulness, can diminish who you truly are. If there were a time you helped someone, made a difference, or simply smiled despite hardship, that is in your worth bank. Stand tall in your dignity. You brought life into the world once, and that is a noble achievement. Allow yourself to feel deserving of respect, kindness, and happiness now. In essence, remind yourself, you are enough, and you always have been, with or without external approval. Crafting your legacy. Passing on wisdom. Your life's journey has given you a treasury of stories and wisdom. Even if your children haven't been calling, you can still leave a legacy that speaks to the heart. Consider writing down your life stories, recipes, or family memories. Mary began a simple family newsletter that she sent by mail. Her sons and daughters-in-law might not call her, but they smiled at each page, detailing a recent walk she took or a recipe she perfected. Grandpa Jim saved small videos of himself playing harmonica and telling jokes. Years later, his grandchildren played them back, hearing his laugh and valuing moments they missed in person. Legacy can be as large as organizing a family reunion, or as gentle as taking photographs with loved ones when you can. Planting a tree in the garden, or quilting a blanket to be passed down, are tangible ways to say, "I was here and I mattered." These acts remind you that you continue to shape the future even when it feels quiet now. When you focus on sharing your knowledge and affection in these ways, you honor your life and give gratitude a place to blossom. Setting healthy boundaries, respectful limits. Maintaining your dignity sometimes means calmly setting limits. Picture Martha, who after years of letting her daughter speak sharply, decided one day, when hurtful words came again, she would respond differently. The next time her daughter raised her voice, Martha softly said, "I want to be with you, but I can't listen when I'm spoken to this way," and gently left the room. This kind of boundary, given without anger, often surprises children into reflection. Experts note that understanding how to deal with disrespectful adult children can empower parents to set boundaries and protect their emotional health. Boundaries are not punishments, they're respect for yourself. For example, you might say, "I'm sorry, I will call back in an hour when we're both calmer," or simply walk away from a heated conversation. You teach others how you want to be treated. Remember, it is entirely reasonable to refuse nasty language or condescending tones. By calmly stating what you will and won't accept, you protect your heart. Often, when you do this lovingly but firmly, relationships can actually improve because everyone knows where the line is. You regain control of your peace without shouting or conflict. As you practice this, you may even feel a spark of pride. You are standing up for yourself with grace. Cultivating gratitude, counting small blessings. Gratitude can be like sunshine for the soul on a cloudy day. Each morning, Aunt Vivian would list 2 small things she was thankful for: a warm cup of tea, a robin at her window, a close friend's smile. This simple habit began to brighten her outlook. Interestingly, science backs this up. Researchers at Harvard found that older adults who regularly feel thankful often live longer and enjoy better well-being. In their words, experiencing gratitude may help older adults live longer, and it is tied to lower risk of mental distress and greater emotional well-being. You don't need grand blessings. The little things count. Perhaps today you are grateful for the sun on your face, the book you're reading, or a neighbor's kindness. By noticing these gifts of life, your focus shifts away from what's missing. You'll find your heart softening and a quiet joy sneaking in. Keeping a simple gratitude list or sharing thankful thoughts with a friend can plant seeds of hope in your day. Cultivating thankfulness is like tending a garden. At first the plants are small, but over time they bloom into happiness. Embracing joy, rediscovering happiness. It's never too late to laugh from your belly or dance in the kitchen. After all, joy was always inside you, even when life felt gray. Take the example of Jose, who had been a stoic engineer all his life. In his late 70s, he surprised himself by joining a neighborhood salsa class. At first he was self-conscious, but soon he was laughing as he spun around the floor. His sons hadn't been around, but suddenly they sent videos when they saw him dancing online. Joy found Jose because he gave it a chance. You might find happiness in music, art, grandchildren, or a hobby. Remember that even simple pleasures, a hot bath, a cherished pet's purr, or listening to the song of a bird, can lift the spirit. Doing what makes you smile is not selfish. It's reclaiming the wonder in life. As researchers note, people who engage in meaningful, productive activities with others tend to live longer and boost their mood. That could be a daily walk with a friend, baking cookies to give away, or telling jokes at the dinner table. Let laughter lighten your heart and remind you of good times you've had. By embracing even small moments of fun and play, you teach yourself that there is still much in life to celebrate. The strength of community, finding new family. When one door feels shut, another may open. Community can become like family, and there are many who will welcome your warmth and wisdom. Perhaps you already have a church group, a book club, a morning coffee circle, or neighbors who appreciate your stories. If not, you might consider a senior center, a volunteer organization, or a hobby group. These can bring new friends who value you. Mrs. Jane found solace at her local knitting circle. When she shared a smile and a sweater, the room blossomed with gratitude and friendship. These connections remind you that you are loved and needed, even beyond your own blood. You may also discover support groups where you can speak openly. Remember, building a chosen family is a powerful way to fill your days with respect and care. Engaging with others not only lifts your mood, but also contributes to their happiness, and helping others often reflects back to make us feel worthwhile. Each handshake, each shared laugh, each gentle pat on the shoulder is a sign that you belong.
We're going to talk about something that many parents silently endure but rarely speak out loud. Section 1. Stop shrinking to fit their world. One of the greatest tragedies of aging is the quiet surrender. You begin to shrink, not physically, but emotionally. You make yourself smaller to avoid tension. You smile and nod when they brush you off. You hide your opinions so you're not difficult. And slowly, you disappear from your own life. But hear me now. Peace that requires your silence is not peace. Love that demands your invisibility is not love. Let me tell you about Joan, a retired librarian. She was once filled with spark and sass. She loved crossword puzzles, classical music, and gardening. But her daughter Claire didn't value those things. Claire valued fast conversations, modern trends, and a busy schedule. Joan, trying to stay relevant, stopped talking about the things she loved. She followed Claire's lead. She said yes when she meant no. And soon, Claire stopped asking about her life entirely. You see, when you abandon your passions, you give the world permission to ignore who you are. The lesson: don't shrink to be loved. Expand and let the right love catch up. When they talk to you like you're an old chair in the corner, used but never really seen. But raising your voice won't raise their respect. True authority doesn't shout. It doesn't plead. It speaks calmly, confidently, and only when it matters. When you speak from your soul, not your ego, you create a silence that demands attention. Let me tell you about Henry. Henry used to argue. Every phone call with his son ended in tension. until one day he stopped defending himself. Instead, he started listening, pausing, then saying one sentence, calm and intentional. No lecture, no guilt, just truth. Weeks later, his son said, "Dad, you've changed, and I actually hear you now." Respect isn't shouted into being, it's lived into reality. Section 3. Detach with love. Many older parents tie their happiness to their children's attention. If they call, we feel worthy. If they visit, we feel loved. If they ignore us, we crumble. But this dependency creates pressure, not connection. When your joy is anchored to their schedule, you've handed them your emotional remote. Take back the remote, detach with love them fiercely, but let your emotional stability come from within. Diane, a widow in her 70s, waited daily for calls that never came. She began to feel bitter, until one day she started volunteering again, reading to children at the library. Suddenly, her days were full. She stopped waiting. And interestingly, her children started calling more. You see, when you stop chasing, they often return. Not out of guilt, but because the pressure is gone. Section 4. Return to the person you were before parenting. Many elders forget that before they were parents, they were people, adventurers, thinkers, creators. When children become your whole identity, you lose your edges. But those edges, your individuality, is what once made you magnetic. So return to you. Write again, sing again, travel again, even if it's just around the block. When your life becomes rich again, they'll notice, and they'll respect you, not because you demand it, but because you live it. Section 5. Set loving boundaries without explanation. Boundaries aren't walls, they're gates, meant to protect what's sacred. And at your age, your peace is sacred. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing what nourishes your soul. If a child calls to argue, you can say, "I love you, but I won't continue this conversation in this tone," and hang up. If they cancel again for the third birthday in a row, you can say, "I'm disappointed, and I hope next time we prioritize each other." Speak truth, without venom. This teaches them how to treat you, and others too. Section 6. Teach with silence. Not every lesson needs words. Some of the most powerful teachings come from what you don't say. When you choose not to react to disrespect, but instead redirect your energy to something better, they notice. Lucille was once mocked by her grandsons for not understanding smartphones. She didn't argue, she didn't scold. She enrolled in a community tech class, learned the basics, and sent them a selfie with a caption. They laughed, then apologized. She taught them that age is not a limit. It's a chapter, one you can still edit. Section 7. Surround yourself with those who do see you. Here's a hard truth. Sometimes the respect you seek won't come from your children, not right away. But that doesn't mean you must live without it. There are others, neighbors, community members, friends, even strangers who see your worth clearly. Build a new circle, not to replace your family, but to remind you who you are outside of them. Respect, like love, grows where it's watered. Section 8. Leave a legacy of strength, not silence. One day, long after you're gone, your children will remember not just what you said, but how you made them feel. Were you bitter or brave? Did you collapse or did you rise? Did you speak truth or swallow pain to keep the peace? Be the parent who stood tall, not in rebellion, but in self-respect. Your greatest legacy won't be money. It will be the example you left. Live these years in such a way that they say, "I didn't understand them then, but now I see." My dear elder, you are not invisible. You are not past your prime. You are not just someone's parent or grandparent. You are a soul with a story, a heart with wisdom, and a voice that still matters. You don't need to beg for respect. You need to remember you deserve it. And once you believe that again, the world, including your children, will slowly start to reflect that truth back to you. If this message touched your heart, please share it with another elder who needs to hear this. And if you're a son or daughter watching, take a moment to call your parent, not out of guilt, but out of love. It's never too late to restore the bridge. Subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Advice for more reflections, more healing, and more strength. Your story isn't over. In fact, the most powerful chapter might just begin today.